Sorry about that. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, if you want to do if you want to probably repeat something, you may want to use a for loop like this. Then you just say probably for let I equals 0. I is less than or if I is less than 5, then you do I plus plus. This is something we have done. And probably we say hello friend, console dot hello friend. So something like this. I used so something like this, and you will still get our hello friend. Is it 0? And we started from 0, so you still get it 5 times like this. So this is very common. This is very common because we want to go by the principle of not repeating yourself. The principle of not repeating yourself, which is DRY. But there are times that you don't really need to do this thing over and over, but you don't want to use a loop too. There are times that whilst the loop is ongoing, whilst you are repeating yourself, you might want to actually, you might want to like do certain kind of strange calculations or whatever that you have inside that particular kind of block of code that you want to run. That is when functions come in. Functions are actually blocks that help us to um, put an idea, put an idea somewhere, maybe a solution, put a solution somewhere and call that solution anytime that we need to implement something in that area. Let's just say that you have created a software, and in that software, you want people to log in. Now, when they are logging in, you want to take their certain credentials, and then based on the credentials, you will find out if they entered the right thing or they entered the wrong thing. Or probably you will check it against a database to find out if they did the right thing or they didn't. You can put it into a certain kind of block of code and then somewhere, or not necessarily store it somewhere, but you can put it in a certain kind of block of code and then put it in your lines of code. Now, anytime you want to, somebody is coming to log into your system, that block of code will be called. And whatever the person enters into, let's say, the text fields, those things will check against inside that block of code, certain things will be happening. Then it will actually give you a result. That is what functions do. So functions normally they store some kind of logic, but you don't want to put that logic plenty everywhere. Let's just say you have a web page, and in the web page you have about like when you have a website, sorry, or a web application. In that web application, you have about 5 to 10 pages, and on that page, something happens on the pages anytime somebody logs in or anytime somebody visits that page. That something can be put in a block of code so that you don't have to be calling them, like repeating the same thing. I said calling, you don't have to be repeating the same block of code in all your codes. You just have to write it once, put it somewhere, and be calling it to do what you want it to do. So that's what functions they basically do. What they do is to return for us certain kinds of information. So let's just say that I want to declare a function. When you want to write a function, we say that you are declaring the function, just like you have a variable. So you say function, you call this statement function. Now, this entire block of code that we call function, it has some three major parts. Three, basically, it has three major parts. The first major part it has is the function declaration itself. The function declaration itself. So the function declaration is where you just declare your function and then its name. So when we were doing variables, we learned that when you want to declare a variable, you just do either let or you use const. Use const, these two. It will underline because you shouldn't use like that. So you use these two to actually declare a variable. That is what we learned previously. Here, if we are declaring a function, you use the word function, and then you bring the function name, the function's name. So function and then the function's name. So let's just say that I want to create a function and I want to name the function greet. I should greet someone for me. Now that is so this is the function declaration. The second part, which is like a shadow part, is the function parameters. The function parameters. So the parameters are actually some values that we pass to the function to perform an operation with. So if let's say it is a user that has to log in into your system, normally what we check is the username, and then if you are writing more than one, you just bring a comma, then you add the rest. Now, usually what we check is the username and then the password. When somebody is logging in, that's basically what we check, the username and the password. So these things we have in here, we call them the parameters of this function. So if you want to do anything, we want to check certain things inside the main body of the function. Probably we may use this or we may never use it. It's not necessarily that because you declared parameters, the parameters must be used. But why will you declare parameters without using them? You understand the logic here. You can't just wake up and say you have declared parameters and you are not going to use them. If you are not going to use them, then you have every right to keep the parameter section of your function with nothing, void. Like you don't put anything in there. You don't put anything in there. So you make it void. When it is like this, we say that the function is actually void. So this function we see here is actually returning nothing. It's returning nothing. That means basically it is doing basically nothing for us. Good. Now, let's just say that inside this function, we want it to return something. We want the body of this function to do something for us. So every function must perform an activity. You can't write a function like this and then you leave it blank like that. So you are leaving the function blank like that. What do you expect the function to do? Nothing. So anytime you want the function to produce some kind of results for you, you introduce a keyword known as return. Return. So when you are returning something within a function, what you are actually trying to do is you are trying to give out results from the function. So after the function has executed and done everything that it needs to do, what do you want it to return for you? What do you want it to return for you? At times, the return can even be a function on its own too. The return can at times, sorry, the return can at times even be a function on its own, like this. The return itself can even be a function. And this is where we call it a nested function. The nested functions can come even before the return. Like you can have multiple functions in there even before the return. So we can say that there is this function inside the function. So we have function again, and it is a function inside the function. Now we are going to look at uh, certain things inside this particular function that we are doing. I'm introducing the concept of functions within functions to let you know that even within the function inside this function, you can still have a function in there. So you can nest functions. JavaScript actually allows you to do that. You can nest functions inside a function, just that you have to know that every function you nest inside a function must be called and used. If you are not going to use that function within the function you are nesting, there's no need declaring a function inside a function. These are some of the things you should you when you are coding. There is something we call clean code. Somebody, I was on a platform and we were having a discussion, and the person was like, that is what we call the green coding, eco coding, eco-friendly code. It's just like the whole world trying to go green, trying to globalize it, global warming or whatever that they are, this eco-friendly stuff. So when you are coding, somebody, I should be able to pick your code and know that you haven't written junk inside your code. It helps me to easily debug whatever you have written and all that. So why will you write function within a function? The function is like say a blank function. That's just by the way. Now this function in here hasn't been used. This function is in here is like a lazy function. It's doing nothing at the moment. No matter what you do this function, it hasn't been used. So even if you pass your cursor on it, Visual Studio will try to tell you that again is declared, but its value is never used. Again, so that means that whenever you declare a function and you want to access the function and do something with it, you use the function. So that you are using the function. But this function has been used. This function you see here, it has been used. Even though there is nothing in it, it's practically doing nothing. The function has been used. It has been used because when we declared the function home, we made it return. We said that we are returning it. That is the return statement. To actually return, that return you see there is operating, it's like it is calling the function straight away. It's declaring the function and it's calling it at the same time. So whenever you do anything in here, probably I can say that inside here, I am going to call again. I'm going to call the function again. So like I would say return function home is going to return a function known as home. But that function known as home is calling again. Now you see that again has been used. So when I go up here, it's not telling me anything that has been used, it has not been used, declared and not been used, blah, blah, blah. It's not telling me anything. And this code, when you run, you are not going to see anything. There's nothing happening here. Nothing is happening here. If I even call the function, if I call the function, this function greet, this is the function name greet. If I even call it here like greet, nothing is also going to, nothing is going to. Whenever you are calling a function, you bring the function name, then you bring the bracket around, you bring the bracket. This is how to call a function. Because the reason why you bring the bracket is because the function may be taking parameters and you need to pass value to the function. You look at that. You need to pass value to the function. So you need to bring those brackets. You need to bring the bracket so that you can say that you are actually calling the function. This one will also do nothing. Even if we say console, it's doing nothing. Nothing is happening here and you know it. Because nothing is, what are we doing? We are just putting functions within functions. We haven't done anything. Good. So to get this concept, if you have done it, I am deleting it. You can comment it out, copy it and comment it out so that later you can go and reference. But I'm going to delete everything in here. Great. So inside what we have here, we may want to display something. We want to display something. And we may want to say that we want to return a very simple statement like hello world. So whenever we say this, we say that probably hello Lacres, something very straightforward. What this function is doing is just greeting people. What this function is doing is just greeting people. So it's just say hello Lacres. So hello Lacres, if we run this function, we are not getting any return here because we aren't displaying it. We aren't telling it to print out anything. So let's bring the greet. We called greet here, but let's display what we are calling. So we say console.log greet. So we are logging out greet like this. And then when we run, we are going to see hello Lacres showing here. So what is happening right now here is that whatever is in here, we are calling this function to display it. So whenever you call greet in anything, greet is actually giving you, returning something to you, and you can use whatever it is returning in so many scenarios. So I can even come here and declare a variable, a string variable. And I'll say maybe let's prelude equals, then I'll just put something like I want to say something like I'm just doing some random something. So sorry, I want to see. I want to see something like this. Then when I am consoling out, I may want to do this. I may want to say prelude. We want to say prelude like we already know. Prelude greet. Then when I run this, I will say I want to say hello Lacris. Now the functions are not strange stuff that probably will crash your code or anything of the sort. What is happening is that we are not doing any addition with this function or any no. But what's happening is that we are taking the results from here. Whatever is coming out of here is what we are getting. So even if it is 1, like let's say the results coming from here, the return statement is some form of addition going on in there, and we are telling it to display the addition, and the results is 1. Here we can do some mathematical, if what the prelude is saying is like, say it is a number, we can do some mathematical operations here and then get some kind of result. Now, where do parameters come in? Let's just say that I don't want to put let's just say that I don't want to put Lacris here because I don't want to be using Lacris all the time. But anybody's name that I put there, I want the person's name greet to bring me the person's name. So let me just say I like this guy by name. I like this guy by name. So instead of saying every time that we run this, we are going to get, I want to say I like this guy by name Lacris. Anytime you run this one, this is what we are going to get. But at times you can actually pass a parameter. You can pass a value to it. So that anytime that value is put inside greet, when somebody is using greet, the person can actually pass that value in there. So let's come here and then add a parameter. How you go about this is to add a parameter to your function. And the parameter I want to add here is something like say username. Let's just say user like that. So we have user here. Now this function, if we call it, we are going to get an error. Reason being that you did this, you didn't define it, you didn't do anything to it. But the reason being that you said user here, but you are coming here, you are using it, and you are not bringing out the user. So who is this user? So this user, I want to put a name in here and say Lacris instead of saying just street. But this thing will still say Lacris, right? Because I have Lacris there. Okay, what if I change it to Kobina? By the way, Lacris also goes by Kobina. So it's still telling me that I like this guy by name Lacris. Why? Because we are using a parameter. We are passing a value to the parameter, but we are not using it anywhere within our code. So what I would want to do here is to use a ternary operator to actually call this. And by now, you all know what a ternary operator does. Then I will use a ternary operator here, and probably I'll put in here user. So anytime I call user, anytime I call this function greet, I will need to pass a value to it. And the value, because I'm using a ternary operator in here, it is going to pick it and then display whatever is there for me. So I want to say I like this guy by name Kobina. So I can change it. I want to say I like this guy by name Kiki. So that means that when I can print this thing out multiple times like this. Turns out our only girlfriend in the in the room here. So I can print these things out multiple times and they will all tell me different things. So I want to say I like this guy by name KK, I like this guy by name Eric, I like this guy by name Spencer. Reason being that we passed different values to it. The parameter is taking just one thing, but we are passing different values to the parameter. So I want to say I like this guy by name KK. I like this guy by name Eric Spencer. So this is how functions they basically operate. So right now that we know that okay, so functions can work this way. Let's try to build another function and then probably use that function for a different purpose. So let's say that function add. So this function add, we are giving it two parameters. So we have this function called add, and we want to add, probably we want to do some additions inside this function.
Please, Spencer wants to talk.
Okay. Spencer. Okay, Spencer, go ahead. You added the user parameter. Okay. From where I added the user parameter. Let's go back. Let me uncomment that part. Okay. So let me delete these ones. Let me delete this. Then let's go back to where we added the user parameter. So Spencer, I believe that I believe that up to this point you do get it. Like up to this point. This one too has to go off. Okay. So up to this point you do get it well. Now what we did up to this point was that we were saying that you see for a code, for a function like this, anytime we want to call this function, what we will do is to do console.log and we call the function inside of our console.log. Calling a function is simply by calling the function's name and then adding your bracket like this. So once you do this, you have actually called the function. At this time, this one, what we are doing is that we are just calling the function. We are not displaying the results anywhere. We are calling the function. We are not displaying the results anywhere. So if I run this, nothing actually is going to show because we are not showing anything to anyone. So what I want to do is to rather move this grid in here like this. Move this grid in here like this, and then when I run, I'll see I like this guy by name Spencer. Sorry for using the masculine on you, but you there, Abi, you understand that. Now, all the time, this is when we run this multiple times. Like, say, we want to run this multiple times, we will get the same results over and over and over again. So there are times that you actually want to change the results in there. When you want to change the results, that comes whenever you are displaying or whenever you are calling the function. That is when you use the parameter. The function actually takes a value. The function name takes a value inside of the bracket, and we call that value the parameter of the function. So it can have more than one. You can have multiple parameters in there, or you can have just simply a single parameter working in there. So if you want to have let's just say we want to put a single parameter in there, and that parameter is like the value, and we say a parameter is the value you are passing to the function. So let's just say, yes, you are a woman. So let me use that as the very perfect scenario. When you probably meet with your partner, and he there is a fusion of the embryo and the sperms. there is a baby formed. Now, each baby that comes out of you, the woman, is not the same all the time, but it is the same process that actually produce that baby, just that the results will be different. It can be a girl with a different face, a boy with a different face, or twins with different faces, or twins with the same faces. But all the time, what happens is that something leaves the man, a value leaves the man, goes to the woman, which the woman is now the function. So now the woman becomes the function. The woman takes the value, processes everything, and returns something for us to see. And that something is different. With what we have done right now, what you are trying to say is that every time whatever comes in comes, they say the woman produces the same thing, the same results. So it's just like we are saying the woman produces a human being, a baby. That's what we are saying here. That, oh, anytime you run this function, like anytime that activity happen, a baby is formed. That's what we are saying with this function. But we want it to be like anytime the activity happens, a value is passed. We want to be specific here. We want to be specific here that anytime that activity happens, a value is passed. And based on the value that is passed, it is processed. So right now we need to let the woman have the ability to store that value. And that is where the parameter comes in. So our function, which we are representing with a woman, has to store that value coming in. So we need to give it something it can hold, or something that can accept the value that is coming. That's the parameter. And this is where the say okay, let's use woman here. You understand the grid. So let's use woman here. Sorry. So let's delete all of these. I want to be today. I want to do biology small. So console.log woman. And let's just say good. And let's just say has given birth to a baby. So anytime you call woman, oh, there's something wrong. Okay. Anytime we call woman, it's normal. It's normal. Whatever is there is normal. So anytime we call woman, we are going to see. Let's remove the user from here. So when we call woman, we are going to see has given birth to a baby. Has given birth to a baby. Has given birth to a baby. Now we want the woman to take something. You want the woman to take something from the man, and that is the parameter. So let's just say that we are saying that the woman took a sperm. So the woman took a sperm. For the parameter name, please, it can be anything that you want. It can be anything. Normally, when you go to React, they will ask you that it is advisable to use the word props, simply representing properties. It's advisable that you use the word props. I think they have wired it into the React framework in such a way that when you use props, it easily understands what you are trying to do than using other parameter names, even though it's not a must for you to do that, but it's advisable that you do that. So we have function woman. Then we are saying that this function woman is taking a sperm. So when the sperm comes in, we want to display the results of the sperm. Right now, when you do this, and then you just say that, okay, give me results, without telling us what type of sperm was actually coming in, we are not going to get the results that we are looking for. It's actually going to still display has given birth to a baby, has given birth to a baby. We need to pass a parameter, we need to pass a value to it. Now, in passing the value, we want to also display whatever is in here, like function woman, whatever is in here there. So if I come to, let me remove this. If I come here and I would want to display whatever is in here this part. So I would say return has given birth to a. But this time, you see, we are using a ternary operator. I believe that up to this point, you know that when you are using a ternary operator, you need to change this part. You need to change the quotation marks to a backtick like this. This is the backtick. This is the backtick just below your escape key. If you have forgotten, just below your escape key, that's where the backtick is. So you need to put it in a backtick, else it won't work. Then you create your ternary operator like we have learned previously. Then you put user in here. So put user in here. So sorry, I'm saying user. Forgive me. Put the spam name in here. Good. So we know that this thing, the spam, will display the result, but it is saying that has given birth to a undefined. What is it is just trying to say that if you haven't defined the spam name, nothing, you didn't pass any value when you were calling the function woman. So has given birth to a undefined. When we run this thing multiple times to tell us undefined. Now the first one, we want to pass a boy. So sorry, the word boy. So it should be a word. Now, so probably I learned that there is this X and Y chromosome, X, Y, or say S and Y chromosomes. And when they meet, the Y will turn to X and whatever, and produce a girl, and the X will turn. Please, the biology teachers, whenever you have time, give us some lessons. Yeah, so when I ran the first one, now what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to tell this function that, okay, the parameter that is waiting for a value, I've given you a value, and the name of the value is boy. So you will just say that, oh, so the other ones will not show us. Let's woman, good, has given birth to a boy. So we say that we passed the value boy to this function, and this function picked this boy and placed it here, and it says return. Sorry, it says has given birth to a boy. So let's just put somebody's name here. Yeah, Spencer. I'll put Spencer's name there. So I can simply say that prelude, then this. Oh, sorry. It doesn't have to be inside the function, it has to be outside the function. So prelude, and then that, let's put a space in here. So when I run this, I'm going to get Spencer has given birth to a boy. Now, I want to do this multiple times. So maybe your first child, a boy. Hey, so the second one, let's say girl. The third one, let's say twins. To let's say twin. Then the third one, let's leave it like that, boy. So you see that anytime I run this, we are getting different results. The first one, Spencer has given birth to a boy because we passed the value here to the parameter here, and the return statement actually picked it up and then used it inside whatever it has to return. So the function here is only giving us the results of what we want to see, nothing else. And the results, we pass the value, boy, girl, twin, boy. That's what we are getting here. Spencer has given birth to a boy, giving birth to a girl, giving birth to a twin, giving birth to a boy again. Like we have them here. Very good. So I believe we can continue now. Anyone lost? Anyone else lost at any point where we've got into right now? Great. And I believe that today I've gone slow a bit. Actually, yesterday I worked from yesterday before the class. I worked from 9 p.m. To the time we met. I think it was also part of the problem. I was tired, super tired. I wanted to run through the lessons, then we end fast. I think I rather ended up confusing a lot. So next time I'll still have to rest a bit before we start the class. Good. So we want to comment out all this because we are going into a different zone. Now this add, we want to create another function, and the function is called add. Because from what we know there previously, we want to pass two parameters to this function. And the parameter we are passing is num1 and then num2. So num1, num2 as the parameters we want to. Normally using letters can be confusing. The A, B yesterday stuff, I was like I said, I was type num1, type num2, type num3. So what we want to do here is probably just return something very simple because we are saying add. So we want to say that you should just return num1 plus num2, something like this. But okay, let's just first use this function, and then we come to what I want to do. So here you can console, you can log out and log. I always want to use it now. Log the console. Maybe I'm sure it doesn't become what I want. No problem. Console now. Console.log. And I want to call the function like add. Now this function accepts two parameters. Where from this? This function accepts two parameters. So I need to pass like two values to the function. I need to pass two values to the function. So I can simply say maybe 6 and then 3. And off head, you and I know that 6, 3 will give you 9. Yeah, that is off head. So I passed two functions to it, as two values to it. What if I pass one, just one value to it? It's going to tell you not a number, none. I've explained this none number. It's going to tell you that it is not a number. What is not a number? But we pass 6 to it. It's not a number because it is assuming that you are passing a blank statement plus a number. So here there's nothing. Here is practically equals to nothing. And you are adding 6 to nothing. So nothing is not a number. No, this time we are not talking about mathematical zero. Here we are talking about nothing. At times, I think in mathematics, nothing simply means zero. So, but here, the nothing we are talking about is not zero. It's not zero. If you want to say zero, then write your zero like this. Don't come and confuse the function that you are doing nothing. So it should assume, the function should assume that okay, you brought nothing in here, just like that. You can't do that for the function. You need to tell it specifically what you are adding up. So this is a very simple one. Now you can also decide that okay, I want to go straight and say num1. I want to do some check in here. So I'll say let results equals butterfly. Let results equals num1 plus num2. Then this one I believe you all know what it's all about. Then you say result. You say result. So when you run this, you are going to get the value, like it will do the addition for you. Now, with this idea, with this logic, I quite believe that almost everyone can work around it, do something with it, and all that. So probably you can do some add. Let me intentionally write results here. I want to check something. You can do some add. How do you call it? You can do some additions, some subtractions. You can do a whole lot inside of here. You can pass strings. Now, the value you pass inside the parameter can be anything. It can be anything. Now, I want to do something. Let results. This time I'm doing results equals 20. Let results equals 20. You see, when I run this, I'm getting an error. Then when I add results in here, I'm not getting any error. I'm getting 20. Now I want to also add something in here. I want to add results in here, and now check. I'm getting, oh sorry, so this one should be the function itself. So I want to do add, then pass some 2 parameters, 4, probably 2, and then let's check something. We are getting 26. But whenever, let me do 2, 3 things in here. Let me do some, here I want to do results. Results first, because we may run into an error, and I would prefer that when we run into the error, by the time we run into the error, the code, most of our code has already run. So this is results. So let me check and see. Yeah. So I want the first 2 to display, then the last 2 as an error. Now, this is where we call, this is what happens when you are talking about globalization and localization of both variables and functions. When I declare a function inside of this function add, I will not be able to call it outside of the function add. I will only be able to use it inside of the function add. In the same way, when I declare a variable inside of the function add, the variable is only limited to that function. So if I declare another function inside of this function, that function can use result. Let's just say I declare another function and I say function do something. Function do something like this. When I declare this kind of function, I can actually come and use result in here and see that probably result equals, same thing. No, result equals okay, results plus equals probably 5. So that means that whatever that we get in here, whatever results that we get in here, we are actually adding 5 to it. But the results, whatever is happening here, will not bring us the result we want to see here. So if you run this thing, you get some errors in there. Did I'm seeing results. So it says results plus results. Please, a second, let me check. Yeah, it's not an error. I think it was picking from the old memory. Good. So you see that we are still getting what we want to get. Like we are getting 26, 20. Then now, let's now talk about globalization and localization well. You see, these variables that we have here, open your ears. The variable results here is a global variable in our entire file, the entire JavaScript file that we have here. Results is a global, we can use it everywhere. You can use results here and even come and use it inside of this result again. So we can even say that here, instead of 5, we say plus equals result, like this. We can do something like this. So we can say that result plus equals, no, it should be S, results. So we can use it throughout the entire code base. The entire code base. When we talk about a code base, it's like from head to toe. What you write is a code base. So we can use it in the entire code base that we have written and use it everywhere. But when we come to this, the variable here, result, we cannot use it outside of the function. It is local. It is local to the function add. So this variable result can only be used in here. That is why when we run the second, when we run the when we run this code, in the second part, we are getting 20. We are getting 20 because we are asking for, that is the first part. We are getting 26. We are getting 26 because we added these two numbers 4 and 2, like we passed these two numbers to the parameters of this as the parameters of this variable. Now, when it comes here, it actually stores the numbers, these two numbers, inside a variable known as result. Now, this variable known as result, we are returning it here. That the same, like it should just add this global variable to this local variable, the results of this local variable. And we know the global variable to be 20. And this is, we know, is going to be 6. So when you run this, let me comment out this one so that nobody gets confused. This one is not part anymore. So whenever we run this code, we are getting result, which is 4 plus 2, 6 plus result, this. But as a matter of fact, you cannot come here. You cannot come here and say that, let's do another something and see, let's final equals results plus results, like this. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. Even this one without running the code, like without even consoling, doing any console.log. Automatically, it will tell you that result is not defined. Meanwhile, we have results here. So how is it telling us it's not defined? We should be able to use it. No, you can't use it because it is local. It's a local variable. So we're a local boy. Uncle international. But this one is an international boy and born international. He knows everywhere. So everywhere people call him, he can function the results, but results cannot function anywhere besides this place. In the same way, this code, this do something, this function do something only operates within this level of code. So if I come here and I tell it to do something here, so let me comment this out, and then let me say do something like we have it here like this, do something, and I run this code. I'm getting an error. It's telling us that do something is not defined. Meanwhile, we have do something here. But you see, even check that. You see, whenever we use a function, the name moves from being faint to like being brightened. But this time around, it's not brightening. It's not brightening because that is not how to call a function. It's not, sorry, it's not like that's not how to call a function. It's not brightening because the function is local to add. So whenever you want to use this, do something, you can only do it inside of add. You can't do it anywhere. You can't use the results anywhere. Probably I can come here and say do something plus results. I'm doing so much within. Sorry, this one must go off. So when I run this, I'm getting some very nice results. Okay, this one too. You let it go because I've explained to you that you cannot use a local variable in a global space. A local variable in a global space. So you are getting none, which is not a number, log 4 and 2, which is not a number, num1, num2. Okay, yeah, we are not passing any value to do something. That is why we are getting not a number. Then result, let's return, okay. So do something, we are not passing any value to do something. Is that why we are not getting the results that we want to get? Function, do something. Okay, it wants, thank you. I'm not returning anything. So let's, thank you. That is what I love. And I get lost, and then my student will come in and point out to me. Good. So return results. So we are returning results in here. Very good. So the function has to return something. Like every function has to return something. Put that at the back of it. So we are returning results. results. So you get 72 here and we get 20 here, because this one, the function add will come and do something like this and do whatever is here, and then add the result to results and results. So that is globalization and localization of variables and functions. It works. Yeah, it works everywhere. It works everywhere in every programming language that you pick. Global variables and local variables. That is how they work. You cannot declare a variable or a function inside a function and then use it outside of the function. Or you cannot declare, if you go to C#, for instance, we use subroutines. We use subroutines. So you cannot declare a variable inside a subroutine and come to the global space and use it. It is only PHP that tries to break the rule by letting you declare a variable as being global. So yeah, I think I've seen that. I've used that a couple of times too in VB. So VB and C#, they are brothers. So if VB is using a C#, we'll definitely use it, but it doesn't occur often. But from PHP, you can actually declare that this is global, and even if you use it inside of a function, it can still pick some functions can still come and pick it, or some other parts of your code can still come and pick it and use it. That happens in PHP. But for every other function, every other language, functions and global and local functions, that's how they do work. Now there are days that, okay, anybody up to this point lost or any questions or anything before we move on? It's 4:13 already. Today, let's close at 4:30 so that we can at least absorb. We don't, like I said, we don't always have to close at exactly 5 times. You can close early so that those who want to sleep a bit before work can rest a bit. Please, if you wake up at 7, you can still make it to work. 7 is probably 6:30. You can still make it to work. You sleep for 2 hours. Okay, anybody with any question? Question. Okay, that means everybody's cool up to this point, so you can move on. There are days that you may want your function to belong to a variable. You may want to pass your function to a variable. Yesterday we were doing something of the sort. So how you may want to do it is probably to say that we are giving the function to another function. You are giving the function to another function. But how you do this is quite different from how you declare a variable or your function. So instead of probably saying that, let's say function login details, function login, then this is how normally we may want to do a function login. And so when the person is logging in, we may want to, hey, master, take your time. You are bringing in promise at this point, simply because I promise the Yundu promise is in Node.js. Good. So probably when we are passing a simple, let me use this simple one so that tab 9 will stop worrying us. num1 and num2. num1 and num2. So probably when we want to, this function is that's what we've done previously, but we may want to pass this to a variable. Give this name to a variable. So what we will do here is to simply say that instead of saying function login, like we are passing the whole function to a value, the best approach you can do is to let this login be equal to a function. So instead of saying function login, you can simply say let login equal to function. Simple, without the login. And this will still work. And what we are trying to do right now is that we are taking this entire function, like the function name here, this entire thing here, and then we are giving it to login like this. So let's just do a very simple return and say that we are returning num1 equals num2. Check this thing very well. Our login name used to be here. We have moved it away from here, and we have created a variable out of it. Once you do that and you want to make it a function, you can write this. Now, when you do this, it is the same as saying, this is the same as doing this, doing it like this. This is the same as saying function login num1, num2. So there is no difference between these two. Let login equals function, just function. So if we want to log out console, that what we already know that when we are logging, I record a function, then we give it that name. So you can simply say login, then I'm still using login, no problem. So you can simply say login, then you pass those two numbers, say 4 and 5, empty bracket. So if I run this, I'm getting 9. I'm getting 9. This is one way you can declare a function, but this time around you are declaring the function in such a way that you are removing the function name away from there, and you are letting it stand alone. Now, once you do this, that means that there is another way you can actually declare this function in a very simple manner, and that is where we come to what we call the arrow functions. That's where we come to what we call the arrow functions. So this is how arrow functions they work. By simply removing the name function from here and then passing the value straight to your curly braces. We call this an arrow function. I've been very slow at this point because this is one concept in JavaScript that if you don't listen well, then you get lost. Going forward, you find it difficult to actually use. So if I run this thing, I'm still getting the same results. I'm still getting 9. So if I put probably 9 in here, 9 is 14 or something. Yeah, 14. To 14. We call this an arrow function. The arrow function, as if it is returning just one thing, like just returning a very straightforward something like this. As for that one there, JavaScript is not even only here. JavaScript allows you to do some certain strange stuff with these kinds of things. Let me see. Are we doing return straight away or um, I should be able to return this. This should be able to return it without. Okay, let's move forward. When we reach there, we reach there. So this is how arrow functions they work. So probably whatever that we did in there, like let's rst equals num1, num2, num1 plus num2. All these stuff we did in there, they can all happen inside of here and this. What is the purpose of an arrow function? What is the purpose of an arrow function actually? You see, arrow functions, it says was num is not defined. Num, which num? Okay. What the purpose of arrow functions are actually to simplify how we write functions by not writing a lot of codes to like not writing too much codes for your function. So, but if this thing is like returning a very simple statement, let's change our num1, num2 to username and password like this. Username, password, password. Good. And then let's remove this rest from here and just simply say that let's use some binary operators to see your username is okay. It has given us something, so let's use it because it's not wrong. Where from this your username return your username is okay. Let me remove all these things from here and then let me use this thing straight away like this. Okay. I've seen what the problem is. Since here you didn't close it from this point at this point, you didn't close. Yeah. So your username is username, then there should be an opening brace here. Good, like this. So we have return your username is username and password is password. Your username is username and password is password. So when we run this, oh sorry, your username, sorry, we should do some proper stuff in here. So your username is Obina and your password is Ebu Uki. Ebook, ebook. So you see, when I write your username is Kobana and so if you want this thing to be like stand on its own, you can simply remove this, like I said, and bring everything in here. But this time round, you won't say you should return anything. It's especially when it is a straightforward code that you are writing. Like this one is returning just one thing. It's not doing any plenty stuff. It's returning just one thing. You can simply write it this way and it will bring you the results. Your username is Kobina and your password is ebook. So today, I think this is where I will want us to get to. We've moved, we basic functions, started from basic functions, and then we've moved down to this point. Now, when you have arrow functions this way, you simply have to call the variable name, like the variable you passed. Let's say, but mind you, you know that when you use const like this, but always try to use const when you are using variable name. Going forward, when you get to something like React, you may not even see the need for let anymore because let allows your code to be manipulated at any point, but const is const. Const is const, like const username password, so it's like constant. There's nothing that can be done to change it. There's nothing that can be done to change it. So that is basically how we go about function, basic functions. Uh, Going forward, we may want to look at other function usages, especially when we are using functions along with objects. We look at how functions and objects they can operate together and how to work around them. Then probably we'll talk about mapping functions, then other other functions, other stuff in function, in using functions. So I'm challenging you. I'm challenging all of you. You see, we started a project. It seems we haven't abandoned the project. This blog project that we started. Yeah, you can check yours and open a live server. The last time I saw that someone, I think Lacris has posted what he has been able to do up to some point. Please, I want you to be able to, at some point, you will come and use all these functions and stuff in there. I want you to use these functions. You actually reach there. You will be doing that. But I want everyone to go ahead of me and then try to do some calculations with functions, and then display the results on the screen. Display the results on that small system that we are creating. Please try to do something today. Before tomorrow, I will let tomorrow, as for tomorrow, it is presentation day on that particular small thing that we were doing. Presentation day. I want to see how you have used the functions, the variables, the loops, other stuff in there, and how you are connecting this thing to the DOM, how you are connecting it, how you are calling them, then connecting them in such a way that they're able to go to the DOM and pick and come. Please, when we did the JavaScript, the HTML, CSS, and all that, did I touch the DOM again? Like, did I do the JavaScript referencing and all that? Hello, somebody can reply me. Anyone? Like, did I touch it again? I know I touched it previously, but somewhere like, confused a bit. But did I come back to touch on JavaScript using like calling um, tags inside of HTML to JavaScript? Okay, I didn't do that. Wow. And I jumped to functions. Oh, but still, you can do it. You can do it. I didn't touch on it again, but I've touched on it previously. So I quite believe that everybody here can actually have a way around it. But one thing I am not seeing, I must be honest with everyone here. One thing I'm not seeing and I'm not very happy, and I'm not very happy with, is that it seems to me, it seems no one is actually practicing apart from Lacrace. I don't see anything on our platform. Spencer, is your hand still up, or it was the first app? Okay. I'm not, apart from Lacrace, who has been posting some one or two things he's been working on. My people, this thing is all about practice. We can learn for 6 months. But one thing is that if you don't practice every day, have time for yourself and say that every day I'll practice like for like two. The whole thing is that if you are really practicing, it should be like 6 hours a day. I'm not lying to you. It should be like 6 hours a day of practice. That is why you find out that most programmers, they stay awake a lot, because you need to take care of probably family duties and all that, and still have time for the codes that you are writing. So about 6 hours a day, you sit down. Before I came, we started the class. I'm actually building somebody's farm website. I think I was speaking to one of you and I was like, Charlie, I need to start offloading some of my work to you guys. Yeah, I'll talk about templating. I think I love templating more than from scratch. But if you don't understand what this from scratch really is, you templating will also be something very strange to you. You will get the template, you look at it, and you just be sitting there and not knowing where to go and what to actually change the entire interface of what you have. So I think I'll have, but that one is PHP. That one is actually, I use PHP a lot in most of my web designs, but the JavaScript there, JavaScript, the programming side there, JavaScript is there. You can't replace JavaScript. Even if you are using PHP, you still have to use JavaScript to manipulate most of the things that you do. But I need to start offloading some of my work to you. Please, whatever you practice, share with us. Even if there are mistakes in there, share with us. If there are mistakes in there, just come and ask us. Ask on the platform. Like you were trying to do this and you ran into this error. What could be the problem? I may not answer. I may see it and ignore. Not that, don't put it in your mind that I'm ignoring you. No, I may not mind. I will see it and I may just ignore whatever you have put there, because I want everyone on the platform to contribute to your code, to see how best everybody can bring up solutions to help you write better code. I want us to That's the kind of team I want to build. I don't want to build the feed me team. No, I want to build the let's do together team. Let's work together. So please, dedicate about. I know most of you are family people, and you need to, like, even if you are not family people, you have girlfriend people, so you need to like take care of them and attend to some one or two staff. Some of you are almost everyone is a worker here. Alaji, you are working people. Alaji has children. I'm not lying to you. Plenty children. So for him, then
I
when he
beg.
wakes up,
Please,
when he wakes up,
scroll
is there?
scroll down. What is this something?
Oh, okay. Um, let me remove this. Is it okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So please, let's share our codes. For now, I will just say that dedicate about just 2 hours of your time every day to writing codes. Dedicate about 2 hours of your time every day to, like, to practicing. No, let me not say writing codes, to practicing what we have learned. Me personally, I learn a lot. It's not like I've stopped learning. If you stop learning in this programming journey, you become a peak. I'm not lying to you, because things keep changing every now and then. They keep improving on certain stuff just so that you can code better, or run your codes can run online better. So you need to be always abreast with whatever is in the system, wherever path that you have chosen. You need to be abreast with it. But please dedicate about 2 hours, since we are now beginning. Dedicate about 2 hours of your time every day or more. Do something, show to us. Let's discuss your code. Let's see where the errors are. Let's help you to understand the concept that you may have missed. That's how we learn. That's how we are all going to learn. If you code, if you are alone, you can ask like Chris. Time I do designs and I send to him to comment on the design. Then you tell me that this color is bright, this is that, that is that, that is that. Then I'll change it, send it back to him. And if my wife, and I'll show her what I've done. At times I'll design a web page. Then I'll show to her that, even though she's not a programmer, I'll just show to her that, Charlie, how do you see this thing and all that. If it is the coding side, I'll show the codes to somebody that, Charlie, this code, I'm trying to achieve this. When I did this, the results that came. But I want to add this thing. The other person will, like, bring me some ideas and also suggest what I can do to actually make it look different in a different way. Actually, the logic that I'm trying to pull out, can discuss with the coder. Then we come out with a better logic, even though it's not his logic, it's my own logic that I'm trying to build. But when you discuss with a fellow logical person, like a fellow coder, the person can also think logically. Then you bring up ideas. Then you do something. You show to him, okay, let me add one or two things. That's how this coding thing is done. Collaboration, teamwork. That's how you learn. So please, personally, I'm not happy about the fact that it seems nobody is uh, showing us what they are doing apart from Lacrace. Nobody is doing that. So I'm begging you. We are there to help each other. I'm begging everyone. It's not about taking monies and teaching. No, no, no. I actually took your money because I want you to set up and learn the thing. But I want you to really. Hey, Sylvester is not here. He didn't. Hey, the boy. I have to call him. I see. So that is all that I would say for today. Please, let's be sharing what we learn, and let's be practicing, and take screenshots, send it into the Discord platform, and we see how best we can help each other.